it's all what is agile? What is agility? How can I, join the train? It's moving fast. So it's a good topic Pam has brought up today. We're all going to discuss it as a group so that we can learn from each other. So my name is Modupe and Pam has done a great job. In fact, she has flattered me more than I can even imagine just introducing me. But I'm so happy that I'm here with you guys today. So let's talk about the crucial role of a Scrum Master in Agile transformation. And that word crucial is very, very important because as a Scrum Master, when your organization says, oh, we're transitioning or we're transforming into Agile, you begin to wonder, what's my role in that? So that's what we're here to demystify today so that we can know the right stance, the right persona that we need to have when we're going to support our organization and teams. So you're going to get answers to questions such as what is Agile, which I believe a lot of us know already. We're going to talk about why Agile and how teams get mobilized into Agile. Like, how do we do it? How do we mobilize teams for a new transition? And then we'll also learn together. So like I said, let's make it engaging. Let's share experiences. Let's learn from each other. So right here on the agenda, we're going to first talk about Waterfall versus Agile. And then we'll go a bit into why Agile. And then on our third section, we're going to talk about mobilizing teams into the Agile ways of working. That's transformation. And then lastly, we'll go into the big one, the role of a Scrum Master in Agile transformation. So let's go right into it. So let's look at Waterfall versus Agile. So let's take a look at this. And I look a bit to the right sometimes because that's where my monitor is. So let's look at Waterfall versus Agile. And if you look at this very familiar side, you will see the Waterfall approach on the top. And then incremental delivery or Agile is sitting right there underneath. So if you look at Waterfall, let me just throw a question out to the group. Has anyone ever participated in any of the stages, like requirement gathering, design, implementation, or verification? All right, I see Pam's hand is up. Of course, Pam. So yeah, Pam, which of the stages have you ever participated in?
Every stage.
Okay,
Well,
nice.
every stage, but of course, not. I've not been responsible for every stage, right? So, in my role as a BA, I've been in requirements and also consulted in design. And then as a project manager, I would say I've been involved in all these stages, right? Because I've been responsible for them. And then of course as a Scrum Master, right? Because we do this in short cycles as sprints. So I'm involved in some way.
Okay, thank you, Pam. Thanks for sharing. Does any other person have any experience in any of the stages? Like maybe you've been involved in requirement gathering or design or implementation or verification. Anyone willing to share?
Don't be shy.
All right. So I see Bassett is clapping. You want to share with us briefly any of the stages you've been involved with?
Yes, I did like to. Apparently, before there was much of clarification with respect to these stages in Nigeria, being in the IT security sector of banks in Nigeria, you practically do everything. Once you have a project, you do your own requirement gathering, your own design, implementation, and you're following through with stakeholders and ensuring that delivery is being done as at when due. So, over the years, a proper structure has been placed into it, whereby you now have the project managers and the business analysts. But before then, we were doing practically everything.
Thank you. I like that. And we can hear that Bassett said project, Pam said project. So Kola Oludoto, you also had your hands up. If you want to share briefly as well before we go.
All right, thank you very much. I've also been part of a part of this waterfall from the point of view of a designer and also from a quality assurance supervisor in this in a paper plastic security company where we had to verify how the customer wants the product delivered and then deploying internal mechanisms to ensure that from point of view of design, concepts, and requirement from the customer up until production and supervising all through. I've been part of that. So
Right.
Thank you
so much. Really appreciate your sharing. So everybody has something in common. We have people that have been part of projects where either they are supporting requirements or design or even verification. That's the QE side of things. So for every stage of this, let's look at Waterfall first. So Waterfall is a gated approach. It's a traditional way of managing projects that has a gated approach, which means that at every stage, there is approval required. I hope you know that. And I know a lot of people who are familiar with that would say yes. So when you complete your requirement gathering, you get approval. You move on to design, then you complete that, and then you get approval. You go on to implementation or verification. But can anyone tell me, after the requirement gathering complete, what does the customer get? Your customer that you're working on that project for, what do they get at the end of requirement gathering? So think at the big picture. You're trying to deliver a project, or you're trying to do something. Your outcome is at the back of your mind. So at the end of your first stage, requirement gathering, what do you give to your customer?
You give them nothing. Maybe perhaps give them the hope that we are still on it.
Thank you. I like that. Give them nothing. They get nothing. Well, hope is maybe what delivers there is documents, and you don't even hand that off to customers. It's internal. So you pass on some requirement documents. That's called the business requirement document, right? So Oludotu, thank you very much. Nothing. The customer gets nothing. At the stage of design, what do you get? More documents. Because you have the design document now in addition to the BRD, the business requirement document. Implementation, you have an unverified system, a build that is incomplete. Then you complete verification. You check it in the QA environment. It's at that side, at the end, you get a big bang release. That's where the customer gets value. At the end, we could be like a year, 12 months, sometimes 2 years. But there comes in Agile, incremental delivery, right? So look at Agile now. Tell me what you see from this picture. Anything strikes you? You have anything striking that pops up to you that is different from Waterfall that we just talked about?
Shorter turnaround time to deliver incremental value.
All right, shorter turnaround time to deliver incremental value. And value is what we're all about. Because when you look at Waterfall, there is no value until the very end. Customer gets nothing. But like Oludotu said right now, we have value, small chunks of value in short times. What else strikes you? Does anybody see any other thing? Okay, so with Agile, like we said, is an incremental delivery approach. If you look at the symbol below, you see Scrum and iteration is an iterative development that compasses every short cycle you see here, compasses all of this. You have requirements going in, design going in, implementation, verification going in that short cycle. If you're using Scrum, it's a 2-week cycle, and then you deliver a small chunk of valuable product increment. So the customer gets something at every point in time, and see how it accumulates until you get to the very end. So that's the very difference between Waterfall, when you look at Waterfall versus Agile. Honestly, that is the picture. Does anyone have any questions about this at all? Okay, now that we understand that, and we understand that with Waterfall, organizations are not able to deliver value to their customer except at the very end. They don't also have the opportunity for feedback. And feedback is very important, because when you use an incremental delivery approach, you can provide feedback. When you deliver small chunks, you give it to the customer, they use it, they provide feedback. If you need to course correct, if you have a lesson learned, you take that in before you go to your next increment, right? So there's opportunity for feedback. The feedback loop is very short so that you can deliver what the customer wants. And that's why a lot of organizations are embracing Agile. So let's look deeper into why Agile. Why Agile? So there are different reasons why organizations embrace Agile. So let's talk first about, and you can see some pictures here. So let's start from there. So we have a picture of a phone. Is anybody familiar with this phone? Maybe you had one way back in the early 2000s. This phone. Anybody?
Nokia 3310.
Yeah, of course. So do you think, or do you know if there is still Nokia 3310 in the market today? Like, would you even buy one? So Nokia, think about Nokia. Do you even hear of Nokia? Like Nokia as a company, Nokia as a major phone? Definitely not, because they did not respond or adapt to competition. So when smartphone came in, like iPhones and the Android phones, they were driven out because they weren't quick to respond to the fierce competition in the market. And that's what agility is all about. That's why organizations embrace agile. Is as a result of the fierce competition, the market out there is fiercely competitive. So with things like Nokia, even Kodak, look at Kodak. They were there, the picture, Kodak picture, but they didn't embrace the digital photography. They were staying with the Kodak picture. You go to the dark room, you wash, like we say in Nigeria, they wash it, then they ask you the next day to come back to pick it up. So when the opportunity for digital photography came in, they thought about their infrastructure. Oh, we've invested too much in all this infrastructure. They weren't nimble, they didn't move fast, they refused suggestions from their internal teams to let's move, let's pivot. The world is moving. They did not. And then they were edged out. Now we use our smartphones to take different pictures. You can imagine the kind of capabilities your smartphones have in terms of taking pictures. So Kodak is out of business as well. But look at McDonald's. They had the same issue. At some point, they were a burger company and all they did was burger. But a lot of other companies sprung up. The other companies that were able to provide things like smoothies, things like other kinds of burgers, make your own burger. McDonald's had to pivot quickly. They had to add to their menu. They perceived the need in the market. So fierce competition drove them to enlarge their menu, right? They are now able to give you what you have, bagels. They have McDonald's breakfast. They have the Happy Meal. They had to do that because they were responding quickly to fierce competition. So when anybody asks you why Agile, it's because organizations need to respond to the market, the fierce competition in the market. Let's also talk about something like the complex legacy systems. So talk to me about technology. A lot of organizations are very bureaucratic in nature. They have huge systems. You need sign off for this, sign off for that. And before you get all the sign off, your competitor, they've completed development of whatever is happening. And then your system is not quick. Your applications are not very friendly with your customers. So what are organizations doing today? They are moving from the complex legacy systems to cloud, things like AWS, things like Azure. That's what they're using now because their legacy systems are too, large, too big, it's not just working. So they are trying to become more agile. And that's why, because if they don't respond to that change, they will lose their market share. And of course, we have customer demands. What is the customer saying? Every day, the needs in the market changes, every day. So being agile helps you to respond quickly to those changes. It helps you to be able to meet up with customer needs in an ever-changing environment. And then also we can use Agile, organizations embrace Agile to help them with the persistent silos in traditional organization. And talk about Waterfall, we talked about that already. They're siloed, so siloed that what one team is working on, you might not know. And then sometimes we duplicate effort, which makes the length, the duration of the project even larger. So these are some of the reasons why organizations embrace Agile. Has anybody ever thought about, okay, this Agile they're talking about, why are organizations really embracing Agile? And does this answer your question? Does anyone want to share what they think? Any experience with why your organization went into Agile? Okay, think about it. Because one day you might be supporting a transition or a transformation and you want to explain it to somebody to say, oh, these are some of the great reasons why organizations go into Agile. So JR, you have your hands up. Okay, maybe.
So mainly it's, at least how I see it, is it's a minimum amount of cost and resources to determine if you're going in the proper direction.
Yeah. Thank you, Jay. That's like fail fast. So you don't put too much in small cycles. You can all know already if you're going in the right direction because you have that short feedback loop. And then you don't use the risk of investing so much and getting to that big bang and the customer saying that's not what we want or that's not what we no longer need. It's not there. So yeah, in terms of cost and in terms of time to get feedback, it's very important for organizations to embrace Agile. Thank you very much. That's really good. Okay, so let's go into now. We've talked about why organizations embrace Agile. Now let's talk about that mobilization roadmap. Now your organization has decided to go Agile. And how does that happen? How do we mobilize teams into Agile? How do we take them through the process of getting them from where they are, probably from Waterfall? They already have requirements sitting somewhere, maybe in Excel. That's part of the legacy systems, that their requirements are in Excel or in some folders in Word. How do you get them to, bring all of that into Agile and become a team that can work in short increments, whether using Scrum or using Kanban? So what I have here is a sample mobilization, roadmap for teams that are moving from Waterfall or new teams that are being set up into Agile. So we start with a meet and greet. When a new team is forming, it's very important to meet the people. As a Scrum Master now I'm speaking from the angle of being a Scrum Master, and you want to support a new team or a team transforming from traditional project management into Agile. So you as a Scrum Master will want to meet your newly formed team. It's very important to get to know the people, to reach out to them, to say, oh, you're part of this team, and just bring them together, form a quorum. So you have a meet and greet. You can engage in small icebreaker activities so that everybody introduces themselves. It's important. The start of any team is very important. Have them relax and, just introduce themselves and tell them, oh, in the next few weeks, we're going to be, working on this and working on that. And then from there, that's part of your learning and onboarding. You begin to talk to them about self-paced training, because honestly, it's all, and we're going to get to that in the last slide. It's all about learning. It's all about the knowledge, because you can't transform or transition into Agile without knowledge. So they need to understand the basics. You need to help your team get onto self-paced learning and also facilitated training, which will be conducted by you as a Scrum Master. So things like basic Agile 101, what is Agile, what is design thinking, things that will start to gear their mind towards where they're going to. And then you also, as the Scrum Master, can facilitate some sessions such as Scrum Master Essentials, other things that would help them to be ready for the new team that they're going to be working on. And then you need to set up the tools. So some organizations have a tooling team that will set up the Jira or the Confluence or whatever tool might be used. But if not, as a Scrum Master, you need to understand how to set up a Jira for your team. You need to understand how to use Confluence, and you need to be able to show that to your team. You need to set up some of the other tools, even if they're developer tools that might be required. And then you need to help them understand the vision. What is the vision? Why is the organization transforming? What's the need? Because before every transformation, there is a need. You as a Scrum Master might understand it, but you need to help your team understand it as well. You need to help them identify. And I say you need to help them because they might not know. You are there as the guide at this time. You are there as the facilitator of the conversation. You are there as the one to show them where the North Star is so that they know what this is all about. There will be a lot of questions, but you are there to guide them through. So you have to help them identify their stakeholders as well. You define roles and responsibilities. What's your role as a dev team member? What's your role as a product owner? That means that you as a Scrum Master must have in-depth understanding of what these roles are and how they come together to help the team form and to be able to deliver value. And then we go on to team chartering, things like working agreement. So it's a new team, or we're coming from the traditional Waterfall. In there might be no working agreement or all of that basics. So you need to introduce them to the concept of working agreement. Things like what is sprint planning, all ceremonies, you need to talk to them about it, not just why, what. They need to understand, why do we do what we do? Okay, we're going to be starting the daily huddle. Why? The value, the benefits of all these things has to come in. And that's based on your understanding and being able to teach and facilitate such conversations. So from there, when the team is chartered, you go to things like backlog refinement. So we talked about requirements from Waterfall. So imagine a team coming from Waterfall, bringing a lot of requirements in. Where do they keep those? What do they do with those? We want to bring them now and become an agile team. So as a Scrum Master, you need to guide them into how to craft user stories from all these requirements they are bringing in. That still speaks to your understanding of Agile itself, right? If you don't understand what user stories are, you can't even teach them anything. So to support that, you need to have that understanding and knowledge. So all of that requirements, they bring it in to form a new product backlog. You need to engage the product owner who has the overall vision, who understands what the business wants, to be able to craft those requirements into backlog items. Now we'll go on to scheduling our Scrum ceremonies. There has to be a schedule, right, of different ceremonies. You have to get into calendars, put in all the different ceremonies there. And like I said before, it's not just, oh, we have Scrum ceremonies. It's helping them to understand the value and the benefit, help them adopt the mindset so that they are not just doing Agile. From the get-go, they are being Agile. They are just imbibing that culture in everything they do. So this is kind of a sample roadmap. So when your ceremonies are set up, you can start sprinting. This is not in-depth, like I said, it's a sample, but it just walks you through from the initial meet and greet up to the time when they start to sprint. So now, does anyone have a question about the mobilization roadmap or sample? Is it a picture you had, or is it different from the picture you had? Or you have an experience with mobilizing a new team from traditional project management into Agile? Anybody care to share? All right, Pam, please go ahead.
Yeah, so I don't really have anything to share, obviously, because I do this. I just wanted to mention that a lot of people, some of the people here are people who are Scrum Masters, some are new to the role. And actually, this is a question I got from a lot of students about how do we transition, right? Because a lot of times we take for granted that they might be getting into a mature role, a mature team, right? But sometimes that's not what's going to happen. You be getting into a team that has never done Agile before, and it is your role as a Scrum Master to help them move. And so it requires a different kind of mindset, or what I call a persona. You kind of say, what Scrum Master persona do I have to turn on for this particular team, right? So just wanted to mention that like this mobilization roadmap that you put together is amazing, because someone can actually use that as their guide, and of course they can tweak it for their team or for their organization based on what that organization does and their unique needs.
Great, thanks, Pam. And I like that you mentioned persona. So what's my persona as a Scrum Master when I'm supporting a transition? How do I stand? How do I engage? What do I need to be the best version of myself, to be able to support my team? That's what we're going to look at next. So let's go into the next slide and just take a look. And this is where we spend a good chunk of our time. I want it to be as engaging as possible. So I'm just asking that everybody should just come in and ask questions when you need questions or clarity. It's a simple slide, but we're going to just go a bit granular and talk about it more. So we said persona. Who am I as a Scrum Master, and what can I do to support my team when they're transitioning into Agile? So what are the competencies that I need to make me effective? That's what we're talking about. So let's talk about Agile knowledge. What does anybody think about Agile knowledge? Why is that important? And I think I've talked about it through all of the slides. So why is Agile knowledge important? So I'm saying that as a Scrum Master, my first basic competency is Agile. Why is that important? Okay, so let me start off. So Agile knowledge is important. It's crucial. It's not just important, it's crucial because as a Scrum Master, you're going to get a lot of questions. Like I said, you have some teams that are matured. You have some teams, some members have never even heard about Agile, never worked in a team before. There are a bunch of business people that the organization is saying, oh, this line of business has to transition into Agile. How do you help those? If they ask you what is Agile, simple thing, you must be able to explain. Why are we doing Agile? You must be able to explain. How does Agile make my work better? You must be able to explain.
Where are you shopping? I don't know where they went to.
Okay, so you must be able.
I don't have his number.
You're not talking, go on mute. So I'm going to mute everybody. Go ahead, Mo.
Great, thank you. So Agile knowledge is very crucial to you, for you as a Scrum Master during an Agile transformation, because you are the one that provides that knowledge, training, facilitates conversation, guides the team from the start to and even beyond that. So you must be able to provide basic Agile knowledge in terms of Agile 101, what's the difference between the different frameworks? Why do we choose Scrum over Kanban? Why do we have to not just do Agile, but we have to be Agile? What's transparency? Why do we run the daily huddles? That knowledge of Agile, that you yourself having that mindset to be able to guide them is what will help the team right from the get-go. So Agile knowledge could, and beyond, it's very, very important to get the Agile certification because it helps you to be able to be an expert on that. But beyond that, you also have to continuously improve yourself by reading, getting up to date to know how you can help your team and guide them better, because you will be providing the training, you will be providing education. In every ceremony I say to my team is an opportunity to respect and adapt. And that's what being Agile is. So if you don't utilize that, your knowledge should be able to help them to see the overall picture and to be able to, find creative ways of being able to deliver as expected. The team is not going to feel the true benefit of Agile. So you need Agile knowledge, and you need to be able to impact that on your team in form of training, in form of facilitation, in form of teaching and guidance. And that's why Coach Pam is here. She's able to provide you that support you need to get your certifications in. She's also a mentor. She's a coach. So she's able to build you up that way in terms of Agile knowledge, which you need during Agile transformation. Does anybody have any take on this Agile knowledge? I like to stop to ask, because that's what we do as Scrum Masters and coaches, right?
Please really ask these questions, because as much as possible, this is where we talk about practical Scrum, right? This is Scrum in practice. It's not all the stuff that you go learn in, a 6-week course, 4-day course. Like, this is actual Scrum in practice. Because even for me as an experienced Scrum Master, my first time transforming teams, like really doing a core transformation on a larger scale, was 2 years ago. And every time I came into those meetings, sometimes it was one day I realized that, as I said to myself, the reason why I'm struggling with this team is because I'm using the same old tactics that I use for my old teams. I realized these people never ever had to do Agile. And so it was like a light bulb, like a switch in my head. And I literally, like, when I changed my approach on that team, I can't forget, I had a product owner that was extremely resistant. I'm using the word extremely resistant. Guess what? In 6 months' time, he reached out and say, "Hey, Pam, I heard you're leaving the team. Why?" "No, I'm not going to let you go." No, I'm like, look at this guy that was so resistant. So I want you guys to really ask the questions, because these are opportunities for us to have conversations that would help you apply these principles either now or in the future.
Thanks, Pam, and thanks for sharing. I just remembered right now. So some of us here maybe are coming from project management backgrounds and are project managers. So if you're coming and you're now a Scrum Master, you've transitioned and you're a Scrum Master, and you're trying to help your team transition into that, Agile ways of working. If you put on your project manager hat, you're not going to be able to help your team, because now you don't have the Agile knowledge to be able to support it. And then you're going to be coming in as a project manager, trying to use authority to help your team. That won't work. That's why Agile knowledge is important. You need to know how to lead without having that authority or that power over the team. And that speaks to how you influence people. It's part of Agile knowledge. How do you influence without authority? Like Pam said, she was able to influence the guy. The guy is wowed, like, oh, you are leaving, because he's seeing value in the way she works as an Agilist. So without Agile knowledge, you're unable to do that. You're unable to make that impact on your team and the people you are trying to help transition. You're going to even get more resistance, and you're not going to be able to use your value, your knowledge of Agile to be able to, bring them to that side where they can begin to see why that change is necessary and adopt it. So Agile knowledge is key. So get the certifications in, but beyond that also, get coaching and mentoring, which is what we're going to get to. Coaching and mentoring is one of the competencies for a Scrum Master. A Scrum Master has to stand as a coach. So there are different stances. So you have to stand as a coach and as a mentor. As a coach for leadership and even for your team as well. And as a mentor to show them, guide them practically. Sometimes you put on the teaching hat and you, like Pam just gave us an example now, you give them examples so that they can see the bigger picture of what you're trying to say. So you have to be a coach. You don't provide all the answers, but you guide them towards seeing what is required so that, they can be able to say, oh, I see, and then maybe adjust something, which will help their delivery better. So you are going to have that competency of a coach and a mentor. And I would say as well, you need a coach and a mentor, even as a Scrum Master going through transitioning. You need a coach. You need somebody to guide you. You need somebody to tell you, oh, based on my experience, because there are some people that have more experience than you in this transformation journey. So they can guide you and mentor you. But even you as that Scrum Master, you need to be able to coach and mentor your team in terms of what Agile is and what are your best practices. What should they do per time? Oh, and I keep going back to ceremonies because a lot of people, when they come into a new team, will say, what's the value of this ceremony? A lot of developers will not want to come to a daily huddle. They feel it's a disruption to their work. How are you able to coach them to help them see value? A lot of developers will come and continue coding. How are you as a Scrum Master able to, tell them that, you know what, doing this and trying to listen is not of benefit. You are not going to be able to achieve much and you're not here. We need to collaborate. How do you say that without authority? How are you able to draw them away from their computers? How are you able to engage them in a retrospective? They'll tell you, oh, I'm okay. Everything is fine. How are you able to drive that conversation if you don't know how to coach and mentor? So it's a very important competency. Develop yourself in that area so that you're able to support transformation better. Now let's talk about training and facilitation. A Scrum Master in Agile transformation is a trainer and a facilitator of conversation. Some time ago, I was on a training and I said to the people, I have a 2-liter bottle. By the time I finish it, I know the training is almost over. I'll just keep drinking water. Because you are training, you are teaching people. You are running training sessions on Scrum basics. You are running facilitation conversation on, oh, maybe we should use Kanban or Scrum. That comes up a lot. You are running training sessions for leadership to tell them why. Because they'll say, oh, we don't have budget, this Agile you're doing, can't we do it some other way? Why do we need 10 developers? Why can't we just have one and the person will do all the work? To be able to communicate the value, you're always training, you're always facilitating conversations with your team. So that's why it's important to have that strong competency of being able to train and facilitate or guide conversations, steer conversations towards seeing the benefit and the value of Agile, and then teaching them the basics and even beyond the basics of Agile. It's very important to be able to support that. And that's a competency every one of us here must have. And then organizational awareness. I think that speaks to itself. As a Scrum Master going through transformation and supporting a team, you should be aware. Let's start from, why is my organization doing Agile? Because you will get that a lot. When I joined the team, the first team I worked with were like, in this current job that I am, they were business people. And they kept asking, why do we need to do this? What exactly is leadership trying to do? So you need that organizational awareness to know the vision, the mission, the goals. Why are we adopting Agile at this time? What is the need? You need to be able to be aware that way so that you can communicate that to those that you're helping transition. And then change management. Change management is very important. Some of us have worked in organizations where a change was just implemented and everyone looked, why is this happening? And it failed because, that change management competency wasn't available. And when we say change management, how do we go about it? We need to create awareness. The organization might have created awareness, oh, we're going into Agile. But when you meet your team, that awareness that, oh, this thing is about to happen, all the things that we have in our BRD, we're going to pull them into the backlog, just generally, even before it happens, you are giving them knowledge, you are coaching, and then you are creating that awareness. And then that desire, you begin to build it in them. This is a good thing, because look at Nokia. They're out of business now because they didn't respond quickly. Do you want us to be out of business? No. So you begin to create a desire that this is beneficial. This agile adoption is beneficial to the organization. That's desire. And then you add knowledge to it. You begin to teach them, facilitate their conversation. That's what a Scrum Master does. You are a change agent. You are a change champion when it comes to transitioning the team. This change is good. It's beneficial to us because we are going to be able to deliver value quickly. We don't have to wait 4 years before we get value to the customer. In 2 weeks, we are going to be able to hand off things to our team. The customer is going to use it, give us feedback. So creating that awareness, desire, knowledge, and telling them the benefits through change management will help them support that change. You have less resistors if you are a change champion yourself. So that change management competency, to be able to, influence people with your knowledge of why the change is important, is very important as well. Then let's talk about continuous improvement. Agile is all about continuous improvement. And that's why the feedback loops are very short, so that we can improve, so that we can find better ways of doing things, so that we can respond to the market. So as a Scrum Master, you're all about looking for ways to support and guide your team towards improving continuously, so that they are not just delivering any kind of value, they are delivering high quality value added products. And then conflict resolution, that goes without saying. There will be a lot of conflict during transformation. A lot of conflicts will come because these teams are new to all of these things. And then some new members are joining. It's larger than before. And a lot of things happen. So you are that person that has strong competency in resolving conflict. You start from using one-on-ones to having a whole team conversation. You use your retrospective to drive that conversation to a point where you can really get granular and know how to support people better. So you have to have strong competency in terms of conflict resolution. So those are your competencies. Those are your stances as a Scrum Master, helping drive transformation in an organization. Does anyone have any questions, additions, comments? All right.
Hi, Modukwe. Hi.
Hi, Kende.
Thank you so much for this class. Noya, thank you too. This is such an invaluable opportunity. I wanted to ask, I'm sorry to take us back about the methodology you shared with the mobilization roadmap. Is it a combination of Agile and Waterfall? That's just my clarification. Just want clarification on that.
Okay, so thank you, Kende. So this is a sample roadmap. It's a sample mobilization roadmap for an Agile team. So is there a reason why you're wondering if it's a combination?
Yeah, I just wanted to, is transitioning all to Agile. Is this like a template that I can follow to do that?
Well, so template, maybe not. Sample, yes. So this is just a guide to tell you what happens when you have either a new team entirely or a team that has been using Waterfall and then they want to start adopting Agile. So it's like setting up a new team, because invariably when you are transforming from management or you're starting out as a new team. So this is like step by step. As a Scrum Master, you the team and just going back, and you start to engage in terms of, oh, you need to. Okay, thanks, Grace, for going on mute. So you start off with your learning and onboarding. So like I said, if it's either your team is coming from Waterfall and they are bringing in their requirements, and then those requirements we're going to get to this point on the screen, backlog refinement, where you begin to build out your backlog, or they are a totally new team. They just want to start out. So these are the steps, basic steps, sample steps they can take from when they meet and form to when they start sprinting. Does that answer your question, Kendi?
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Maiwa, you also have your hands up.
Yeah, Mudugwe, thank you so much for the roadmap. I think it kind of brings clarity to some of my confusion. So I can use this as like a guide, right? And possibly customize my organization, right?
Yeah, so yeah, that's why I said it's not a template per se. It's just a sample of the steps that you can build out based on the way your own organization wants to do the work. But it's just simple steps, right? So what happens when you start out? You meet your team, right? You meet the new team, you bring them together, you have the conversation. Oh, now we're starting out as a team. And then you suggest and begin to recommend some self-paced learning, which might be available for your organization, right? You might have what's it called, the learning and development team providing some self-paced learning on Scrum 101, what is Scrum, what is Agile, or they could provide in-person learning or what's it called, virtual trainer-led learnings. That's facilitated training. So because Agile knowledge is important, you want to provide that for your team right from the get-go. And then you need to start to set up the tools. So like I said, every organization is different. So there might be a tooling team that will help you with that, or you as a Scrum Master. And it's good for Scrum Masters to have that knowledge of the different tools. Like Jira, I know that Coach Pam has that. She provides that opportunity for you to get hands-on on Jira even before you get into the job. And even knowing Confluence, there are some other tools, but those are the really common ones. So you want to set up your tools for the team and get them access as required. And then next you go on to help them understand the vision, you help them charter the team, or you charter the team, right? You set up the working agreement, you set up things like definition of ready and done, while explaining to them why those things are important, because they don't know. They may be new and they're coming from project management. They don't have definition of ready. They don't have definition of done. So it's continuous teaching, continuous coaching, continuous facilitation. And then by some weeks, you get to your product backlog. You need to set that up. So how do you set that up? You have some requirements that you're bringing in. You are going to have to support the product owner and the team to begin to craft those requirements as user stories so that they can now begin to pull in work. And then you talk about ceremonies. At some point, you have to schedule your ceremonies. It's important, especially if you are using Scrum, right? So you need to not just schedule the ceremonies and throw meetings into their calendar. You have to let them know that every Scrum ceremony is actually an opportunity to inspect and adapt what we'll be doing. So in the daily Scrum, we're going to talk about what happened yesterday and how can we remove any impediments that will help us to move towards our goal. So you need to tell them or help them know the value of the ceremony. So you're setting up ceremonies and also helping them know the value. And then by week 3 or 4, and like I said, it depends on your organization, you're ready to start sprinting. So this is a sample roadmap, not a template. You can walk around, customize it, or even check to see if the organization has one they want you to follow. So Mario, your hands up.
No, very clear. So the timeline, like week 1, 2, week 3, 4, it's not like it's kind of mandatory. I mean, in the Agile framework, right? So it could be organizational specific. It could even be 2 weeks, or it could be 3 months, right?
It depends, yeah. Like it depends. I'm happy to have your hands up. You want to speak to that?
So you know, like, so think of this roadmap that Mo shared here as a building block. You know, like when you want to build a roadmap, sometimes starting from zero can be challenging. You might spend time saying, how do I put this together? But by referencing this mobilization roadmap, it helps you think about some of the important things. And every organization is unique. So there's going to be things about your organization, cycles of when you can't make change, or you can understand my point. In technology, we know that there are times where you can't make a change, you can't do there's something going on in the organization, and you have to make sure you're working around those timelines, right? It can be great to say we want to do this in 1 month, but can we really do it in 1 month if we think about all of the different things that we want to? But this shows you some of the things that you want to really think about and incorporate into your mobilization roadmap. But again, it's a consultation process too, right? You're consulting with the stakeholders, people who are responsible, people who you have to consult, right? To be able to build this and make sure that when you launch this, you don't find out that when you put it in reality, something just totally throws your roadmap out of whack, right?
All right, thanks, Pam. That's good context. Okay, thank you, Mayo. Okay, so let's just go back to our slide here. So we talked about your competencies as a Scrum Master. Now let's talk a bit about the challenges. And before I start to talk, have you ever been in a transformation? What challenges, does any of this resonate with anyone here? They'd like to share, like the challenges we face when we are trying to transition from traditional waterfall to Agile. Anyone want to share an experience? Okay, so I'll start off. So resistance to change. Resistance to change is key. Like you meet a lot of resistance. People don't like change. I know we've all realized that by now. And organizations, sometimes people within organizations and teams don't like change. Everyone is comfortable with I'm comfortable. Why do I need to change? I do my job well. Why do we need to adopt Agile? That's the question. It's the key question that Scrum Masters get, especially with people. Some people have been in the organization far too long. Like you meet somebody okay, so at my new job, I was a Scrum Master first before I became a coach at that job. And the first product owner I got had been with that company, with the organization for 32 years. And he said to me on the first day when I met him, because I scheduled a meet and greet, he said, you know what, Mo, this thing is going to fail. I've been here for 32 years. They've done so many different things and eventually they canceled it. So this one, they're still going to cancel this Agile you're talking about. And I said to him, okay, but there is benefit and there's value in what we want to start doing. And at the end of the day, honestly, right now, I've left that team, but is really, really, really one of the champions in that group. So it's with the Scrum Master to know that there will be resistance. It's with you as the Scrum Master to realize that as a change champion, what can I do to lessen the impact of this resistance? And how can you do that? I put some solutions here. You need to communicate the benefit of Agile. It's very important. So you need, going back to Agile knowledge. If you have Agile knowledge, you are able to use your experience as a Scrum Master supporting that kind of transformation to communicate those benefits. A lot of people also believe in data. You're going to be able to pull up data to be able to support your claims and say, oh, when the team was using traditional waterfall, the risk was huge. At the end of the day, we lost money. Somebody talked about time and money. We lost money doing this project using the traditional waterfall. But with Agile, this is what teams have been able to achieve. So I believe if we use Agile and if we use Scrum or Kanban, we can deliver faster. We can get things into the hands of our customer quickly and get feedback to see where we can course correct. So you need to be able to communicate the benefits of Agile and how it will help the team achieve their goals. You need to be able to do that because there will be resistance to change. And then the next one is lack of understanding about Agile. So that's something that happens, that's common as well, especially like Pam said, with maturity, the team maturity is different. Some people already worked in some Agile teams previously. Some people are totally new and they don't have any understanding. They don't even know what Agile is. So you need to start with that. You need to provide training and education to the team. And that's why your competency as a trainer, a facilitator is very important. So when you have people that lack understanding about Agile, they don't know what's the difference between Scrum and Agile. They don't even know, okay, what's the difference between Scrum and Kanban? Why do we need tools? Why can't we keep everything in Excel? You know, they don't have that knowledge. You need to be able to provide them with training and education. And then another key one is leadership barriers and lack of support from leadership. And that happens a lot. So sometimes in some organizations, the leaders say, go do Agile, go make our things. There's nothing like that. That's not them giving support. Adoption should come from the top. The leadership team should be able to be the key champion. Okay, so leadership also, they need to be very involved, very engaged. They need to know that this is going to bring value to the organization. How would they know that? You as a Scrum Master, at every opportunity you have, you need to be able to communicate the benefits of Agile to senior leadership using metrics and data. So senior leaderships are very strongly all about what's the data? How can we, you know, they're all about seeing data, they're all about the metrics. So you need to be able to support your claims with metrics, with data, not just the English, not just the theoretical, but bring out facts and figures to be able to support where you're speaking from. Oh, this organization did this bank did that, and this is the benefit. So communicating the benefits using data and metrics will help you to get senior leadership their buy-in. And it's very important to have the buy-in from leadership, or you have that barrier. And when you have that barrier of leadership support, you can't, help your team get the true value of Agile. And then some other challenge you might face is lack of resources, lack of tools or software personnel. So it depends on your organization. Some organizations are ready for the change, so they provide all the resources and the tools needed. Some organizations are not so ready. So you need to be able to liaise with senior management, with stakeholders. You need to be able to engage them to get the necessary support and resources needed. Okay, an example I had just last Friday, one of the leaders in the group where I work, they were asking, why can't we just move resources among the teams? There's a QE that doesn't have a lot of work. There's capacity in the other team. Why can't we just drag that QE here and then she will go back? No, you need to be able to help them understand the concept of persistent teams and how that helps you to deliver value. Because, if you pull somebody from somewhere to come and support another team, before they can even go through that learning, they are losing time. The company is losing money by that. But if they stay with the team, they understand the application they are trying to build. They're persistently working together with other members. You get value faster, and even you get the benefits, right? But if you keep moving teams around, people around, and you're here today, you're borrowed resource tomorrow, it won't support what you're trying to do in terms of Agile adoption. So you need to work with senior management to help them to understand that, we need resources, we need them stable, we need them persistent to be able to get the true benefits of Agile. So these are some of the challenges I've put here. But can any other person share anything they've encountered in their organization in terms of challenges or some other solutions that we think will be relevant to these challenges if we face them as Scrum Masters? Okay, so I'm going to be calling out names because I do. So the last person that spoke and is still on my screen is Maiwa. Any of the challenges, have you ever worked in a team that was transitioning? Do you want to share with us? Okay, Pam has her hands up. Well,
I think it's one that we didn't address, right? We've talked about the challenges that are really internal, right? But there's one that can be pervasive, which is companies that do pseudo agile. They think they're doing agile, but they're not. And they're trying to transform an organization, but they're not. First of all, the way they set up their framework or their governance is actually a problem. It's actually going against what Scrum is, what Agile is, right? And that's one. And then, as a Scrum Master, how can you even influence that when it's top down, right? It's pervasive across the organization. That's another. I think that's a really big problem, and we shouldn't get into it now because someone will ask me, how do we solve this? It's a whole different conversation. But that's a challenge, right?
Yeah.
And it requires people with very strong Scrum Masters with really great number of years of experience and that are very influential to be able to thrive in such an environment. And that's an actual problem that people can face.
Yeah, and I like that, Pam. Honestly, that barrier is there if leadership is not engaged or they say they are doing Agile just because they want their organization, it to be said around that, that organization, we're Agile, it's in the news. No. And then another one that brings to mind is some teams. So when we transition and we start off, because some of our team members are coming in with the old mindset, now we're having Waterfall within Agile. So it's waterfallish, but we say we are doing Agile. So we don't, for example, we write user stories that are not end-to-end, just development stories. And then in the next sprint we design. And then in the next sprint we test. That is waterfall, but we are
exactly. There are lots of questions though in the slide. So once we get to this question and answer segment, we would actually cover some of the questions.
So it's things like that. Okay, yeah. So I think we have Bimi with her hands up.
Yeah, I just want to add that I think it's just an addition to the last point you raised, that in in my experience, a lot of organizations, Agile is kind of siloed to the development team, and development team develop, or let me say, the product teams. Because for some organizations, you've been able to extend it to the UX, the design team. So you have the design, product development, the product teams, and the engineering team all doing Agile. But we all know that in launching a software or launching features or feature enhancements, you go beyond those teams. You're engaging marketing, you're engaging customer support, you're engaging help desks. So in quite a number of cases, those things are not agile. So you have to, as part of your planning, really understand what works within those teams and make provision for those. The delivery process, pre-production delivery may be highly agile, but you have to, at the back of your mind, know that you have to hybridize it at some point. Have a hybrid of agile, waterfall, especially towards the launch.
Thank you, Gbemi.
Thank you.
That's a great point. Honestly, at the end of the day, like you said, and Pam, maybe because we work together, we know this, right? So at some point, we have some other teams that are outside our teams that we still need their support, and they are not within the team. So how are we truly agile if we're not, all working together at the same time? We need to, like Gbemi said, agile stops somewhere, and then we pick it up as hybrid towards delivery. Some organizations are like that, but honestly, that's a good thing that you just mentioned, and it happens in so many places. All right, so thanks. So that's where we're at. That's a Scrum Master in Agile transformation. We've talked about some of the competencies, some of the challenges, some of the solutions. Your organization might be different, but as you support your teams along, you know where you can make influence, where you can help support them better, so that in their Agile transformation journey, they are not just going through the journey, but they are delivering value as well. All right, so Pam, over to you.
Okay, thank you. So I will share my screen. Thank you, Coach Mo. Can you see my screen showing questions? If you can, I just want to see your virtual hands up, because sometimes you're sharing the screen and you think you're sharing the right thing. Awesome. So, Coach Mo, thank you. Like, you did justice to this topic. I couldn't have thought of a better person to invite to speak on this topic, and I personally know why, because I know you have personally gone through a transformation. I was with you on that journey for 1.5 years, and I said, who else can I bring to talk about this topic? And you've done amazing. I love the energy. I also love how the chat, people were kind of dropping nuggets that you were sharing, and it was very, very engaging. So thank you, Coach Mo, for this amazing discussion. I want to also thank every single person who in one way or another participated by asking questions and sharing their thoughts. You guys have been phenomenal. So we have some questions here. I will start. Can a Scrum Master also be the product owner at the same time if they have both skills? Coach.
Okay, so can a Scrum Master also be a product owner at the same time if they have both skills? I'll say, so as a coach, and I went through a training, they said, don't say yes or don't say no. Say it depends, which is funny. But I don't want to even say it depends. I would say it's better to segregate these roles. It's better for the Scrum Master not to be the product owner at the same time. Why do I say this? Because the role of a product owner is different from the role of a Scrum Master. A Scrum Master is a team coach. A product owner is the voice of your customer, the voice of the business that knows what the business needs, wants to see what value should be delivered. So you can't kind of do both, coach the team and be the voice of the customer, the person that, wants to give that feedback, wants to know if we're doing it right. No. So I'd rather say no, the Scrum Master shouldn't be the product owner.
Okay, are we able to get the slides?
That's
yeah, I will send the slides to y'all. Yes. The next question is, I like the roadmap and it clearly answers my goal for this session. Can I reuse it or need to tweak it for my organization? You already answered that.
Yeah, I did that.
Yeah, Mayo, I think we already answered that.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we
she
would,
did. She
yeah,
did.
okay. All right. So I will now this question is can Moduko speak to the roles of an agile coach? More I'll just give you, so this is not the objective of the call, but because we don't have a lot of questions, I'm going to be generous and allow her to talk about this. But if you're not following me on Instagram or Facebook, funny enough, I actually had my team post um we're doing a segment on roles in Agile, and the first one we actually posted was Agile coach. So if you're not following me, I'll just tell my assistant, if you're there, put the link to Instagram. In fact, I put the link to that particular role, Agile coach role, so that people can also read up on it. But more, I'll give you 2 minutes, just tell them what the role of an Agile coach is.
So thank you, Pam. And I like that you already have a post on that, so I won't need to go in depth. But an Agile coach is somebody that provides guidance in terms of what's Agile, what are the values, what are Agile principles, how can we go beyond doing Agile to being truly Agile. An Agile coach is somebody that facilitates conversation, coaches, you provide coaching for leadership. You also provide coaching for your team as well, because you truly embrace Agile and you are not just doing it, you are being in it. So in every discussion you have that mindset. You're able to help them see the bigger picture and how to influence people without having authority. So an Agile coach, is a teacher, is a mentor, is somebody that supports people to adopt the Agile mindset. But Pam has the bigger post on it. So let's just go into that and we can learn more about the roles of an Agile coach.
Awesome. Anything else you wanted to share? Any other questions that folks have? Any questions at all? You take the opportunity to ask those questions. Okay, can we repeat this session again? Wow, this is not buy one, get two free.
Exactly.
Not that. So what I'll tell you though is that it's going to be on YouTube. So the beautiful thing about this is that you get to rewatch it. So we will be Mr. Mark, can you put the link in the chat, because I'm trying to share my screen. Anyway, so what I can tell you though is that we're going to put it on YouTube, so you get to rewatch this over and over again, share it, come back to it when you need it, because there's so many topics that we have to discuss, so many topics, and it's going to be a busy year. So we're going to be adding it to our mailing list, and you will get to learn more and more things. So we have a fantastic lineup of workshops. I don't want to repeat this one because there's so much to teach you all. So we will be sharing that. We'll be sharing this on YouTube, and also sending you additional workshops that are going to give you information, right? So I just put it in the chat. You can check the chat section to see more about the Agile coach role. Thank you, Maiwa, for being very participatory. We love it. So anything else before we close the session? And if you can all if you can, put in the chat how how you feel about the session, what you learned, or a quick shout out to Coach Mo for taking out her time to give this information, valuable information. We would love to hear what you have to say in the comment section, but I've also put link to Instagram. You can follow us or also learn more about the Agile coach role there. So please, in the chat, feel free to give us feedback on how the session went. You can also say things that you also want to learn more about, and we'll bring that to you in a future workshop. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great Saturday. And thank you so much, Coach Mo.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Pam. Bye.
Bye.